record button and let's go. So here's where I want to start. Now I know we have a big class, and that's okay. I really though do want to give you guys the opportunity to share with one another because I think there's a tremendous benefit of you guys learning from each other. So I want to start today's meeting with a simple question. And if you'll sort of self-police your answer, that would be helpful. Just try to keep your answer short. But there may be some people that I ask to expand on their answer a little bit, just because I want the class to hear what it is that you've got to say. So, what was your biggest learning? What is the biggest thing that you learned? And it might be from the homework, it might be from the stuff in Floor U, it might have been from a ride-along that you went on. It might have been something that you were doing with your franchise owner or something that you saw in the training materials. But I want to know, what was your biggest learning from last week? And Dave Lee, since you were the first one on my screen, that puts you in the top left corner, and I'll start with you.
Just another lesson in time management, I suppose. Now going through with the inspired sale, it's definitely a different process than what I've been used to in my sales career. So unlearning some things and learning new things, and it makes total sense, and I love it.
Nice. Cody, how about you? Biggest learning from last week?
Biggest learning from last week. Honestly, mine would probably be just communicating with customers. We've had in Michigan here, we've had a little bit of inclement weather in the last week. Adam, I know you can attest to that as well. So just communicating with customers, whether it's like rescheduling appointments or moving appointments up sooner to try to avoid some inclement weather. That's kind of been one of my biggest things. And then just the fact that we are like really, really advantageous. Like we really promote like communicating with the customers. So.
Nice. Adam, Alexander?
Hey guys, yeah, I would just say, can you hear me all right?
We got you.
Yeah, I would just say, just sticking with the inspired sale process and like really trying to nail down all parts and try to get them all in. It's tried and true. Like we shouldn't be trying to, do new things. Just follow the system. It works.
Nice. Let's see. How about Aaron Burrell?
Ride-alongs for sure. I think I've been on 5 and we've closed 3. One couple of days after, but still closed. And then seeing that put in with the inspired sale process, see it all working together. And my owner's been good. He's let me, like I had a self-gen, so he let me pretty much do the whole appointment, except for what to pick out, how to explain it. But I did the price and everything. So that really helped a lot.
Nice. Let's see. How about Dan Adkins?
Hey, for me, I think the big thing is old dog, new tricks, and realizing that that's not such a bad thing. Been in sales forever, and adjusting the methodology and adjusting the messaging from a tech world where I've lived most of my life to consumer or residential, whatever you want to call it. Good stuff, though. I've been through a lot of different sales training programs, and I think it's great. I think it's solid. So,
Kayla, biggest learning from the last week? Kayla, go. All right, we'll come back to Kayla, and I'm going to Paul Beaudry.
I've learned a lot with Eric. So he's a lot more laid back. I came from Home Depot, which was very high pressure, one call close kind of thing. So I'm really liking that he's a little bit more laid back, actually a lot more laid back, doesn't do a lot of pressuring, and has a very high close rate. Not necessarily one call close, but within a few days, they usually call back and want to move forward. And I love that process. I love not having to pressure my customers and urges.
Nice. Craig, how about you?
Did you say me or Craig.
I said
or Greg.
Craig, but Craig's got himself muted. Craig might be on the double mute. You might have your phone muted. All right, I'll let Craig figure that out. And Greg, we will come to you.
Oh boy. Hi. For me, kind of like what Dan Atkins said, I've been in sales for a while, and I've never followed a process where you have to verbatim say, oh really? What makes you say that? So I thought that was interesting, and I'd love to learn more from the the DAs that have been out there and close some deals. I'd love to get feedback and hear from them, because I haven't been out yet to see clients. And looking at the the assessment, there's a lot of stuff to know. It seems like a simple process, but there are a lot of little nuances you have to hit. So that's been the biggest takeaway for me. I'm enjoying it.
And what I would say is, it's not that there's a lot of nuances that you have to hit, because that makes it sound like this is a scripted thing that you have to do blah, blah, blah. And it's really not. There's only 5 things. There's 5 questions that I want you to do word for word. And the only reason that I want you to do those word for word is because it's easy to say I'm wrong and to hurt yourself, right? So it's not about, I have to hit all of these points exactly. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you a process, and then I'm going to encourage you to make it your own, right? But in order to have a consistent starting point, we have to start somewhere. So let's see, Craig, it sounded like we had you for a moment.
Yes, can you hear me?
Now we got you. Yep.
Okay, thank you, sir. Arlen, it's funny, I have to be completely honest with you. I'm very straightforward. The first sales incubator course, I've been in sales. I'm an old dog. I've been around a while. But I didn't really feel like it was you. I thought I was being a little presumptuous, and I thought, well, I'm not going to learn anything because I'm already, set in my ways. But the last meeting, this numbers, I really learned a lot, and I really began to appreciate you and your skill, and also some of the other people that work with you. That's one thing. Well, and it was funny you said, what did I take from last week? What I took from last week is being able to confront the customer and asking them the questions that really need to get you to where you want to go. And that's really what I took from that. And I'm not used to that. I'm a very laid back salesperson, like the other gentleman had said. I'm like that, so I don't really like to push people, confront them. I always feel like I'm hurting your feelings or something. But you have to be able to, this day and age, they don't have time. They want to be quick, They want it done, they want fast, they want service. And if we can do that, that's the key.
Perfect. Janie, how about you?
Me, Jenny?
You're muted, Janie. Janie Sandberg is muted. And then I'll come to Jenny.
Okay. That's strange having a Janie and a Jenny. They're both names you never hear. I think the biggest thing I'm learning is recognizing that all I can do is master the process, put my own stamp on it, and then the rest is up to the customer, so because I'm a controlling person, I like to know how things are going to go. I like to know how they're going to be, and recognizing that I'm going to go make my sales appointments, do my best. And then, hopefully they're going to buy because I'm going to do such an amazing job, but all I can do is the stuff I can do. That's the thing I'm learning, I think.
Nice. All right. Now to Jenny.
Okay, hi. So I have some sales experience as well. What I really like about this is there's such a system in place. So instead of just going in and kind of bouncing all over the place with the meeting, I have a process to follow. And I think that's going to help me a lot getting better at closing, right? So if I'm not closing, my owner and I can break down like, where can I improve? Did you do this step? You seem to jump over this step, so I'm still taking it all in, and it's a lot to take in, but I like that there's going to be a great way to track my progress and get better at certain parts.
Nice. Oh, let's see. How about April?
Hi. Yes, I also have quite a bit of in-home sales experience, and I really appreciate the low pressure. I appreciate the direction. That kind of helps me stay in line, and so it's been going well. With my owner, we got our first sale on Friday with 16,000. So it was pretty exciting, and ready to learn some more.
Nice, nice. Jeffrey,
That's encouraging.
Howdy. Good day, everyone. My biggest thing that I've taken away is the process. How easy the tablet, just moving through everything, going through the customer service, it makes it everything simplistic for you. It's not like you're reinventing the wheel. You're able to, like how Arlen says, you're able to recreate the story in your own words, but you have those certain points. So you're making our lives a lot easier with these technologies and the simplistic of doing the floor plans. It makes our lives so much easier. So we do appreciate this and showing us the little ways of just changing our spiel to help offset and get these people to give us an objection right away.
nice, nice. All right, Josefina, your biggest learning in the last week.
Okay. I think that it's yeah, all the process. At the first time, I thought that I was not going to be able to memorize everything, and also it was kind, like repeating something. But once I'm been practicing, I feel, like everything has more sense, and all the words have becoming mine. So I think that that is the most important thing.
Perfect, perfect. All right, how about Evan?
Sure. Not to sound repetitive, I agree with most of the other comments, but I'd say, following the process is something I need to get more comfortable with, and again, finding that balance between, keeping the order of things, but also not sounding scripted is a challenge. So it comes down to needing more practice, but that's a challenge when you're a new owner and the DA. And the bookkeeper and the trash man and everything else.
That's right. It's a lot, isn't it? All right, Brigitte.
Well, we had the home and garden show this weekend, and so I had real life experience converting contacts into customers. We have an appointment this afternoon with a gentleman pretty much wants new flooring in his whole house. So that was great.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and just, I think emphasizing, I mean, I think if it just solidified emphasizing the in-home, that we want to get in the home, not just talk about product, in the convention center kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Your first opportunity in a home show. I love it. Let's see. How about Sherry?
I think my biggest learning experience was when the sale doesn't happen right away, when they get that sticker shock because they really didn't know how much, the project was going to take. But that's, I think, the importance of having that process, because, at that point we encourage them to shop our competitor, but we leave them knowing that we've given them the best customer experience, and realize that when they do shop that competitor, they really are apples to apples, and not just on a price that we've thrown them. So I'm excited to see, like some of them that didn't, that had that sticker shock and said, oh, we're going to look at other things. I'm excited to see them come back around, actually, because I really believe in this process is going to work.
Nice. Let's see. How about Olivia?
I think my biggest takeaway this week is what a great tool the tablet is for estimating. Going from the manual estimating to estimating using the tablet was just made such a difference, but I felt like after having done the manual estimating, I actually know what to look out for and like what some of those pitfalls are. So I think that was a great thing to learn.
Good, good. Let's see. How about Marnie? Marnie's big takeaway for the last week. You're muted, Marnie.
Hello. I think too with Brigitte was that since we were at the home show, talking to customers, and we had 3 other franchisees there with us. So it was nice to see how they approach customers and some of the verbiage that they use. But yes, we got some appointments out of it. So it was nice to actually see that turn from, discussing and having someone look at and be interested in all the stuff and then be able to turn it into a lead.
Nice, nice. Let's see, how about Allie?
Sorry, I lost my mouse. Hi, so the biggest thing that I learned this week is just that we come across so many different situations in so many different homes that I feel like we're always learning. And I think that the biggest thing for me this week was that even though there are new situations that you come across, you're still an expert. You still have a lot of knowledge and know a lot of things. And just because you come across something new doesn't mean that you don't know a lot about what we do. So
Nice. Let's see, Spencer, what's been your biggest takeaway in the last week? Oh, Spencer is muted still. If you've got the double mute.
Can you hear me?
Now we've got you. Yep, now we got you.
So my biggest takeaway is probably paying more attention to my proposals and stuff, like paying attention to the line items and stuff.
Okay. Yep, it matters, right? Every little thing. Ashley.
So I'm like way behind on all my stuff. So I'll admit to that. But I will say that this week I've been playing a lot of catch up on rewatching training and doing a lot of the week one, the first manual estimation. So kind of along the lines of what Olivia said, it's been very eye-opening to have to do the stuff manually and not rely on the, when you do it on the tablet, it's like, make sure you're taking out certain things, right? And it's the opposite for the manual. You have to make sure you're inputting all the right things. So that was really a really good exercise for me to kind of expand my perspective and make sure that I'm actually doing proposals right. So that was probably what I would say is my biggest one this week.
Nice. All right, let's see, Beto.
Yeah, I think not to be repetitive, but yeah, the sell process is fantastic. I used to be in sales and we didn't really have, a procedure like this. And it really helps. And now I had the opportunity to go with my owner, Jenny, to some ride-alongs. And being a brand new DA, not being in this industry, I'm learning a lot. I'm taking a lot in. But I think I learned quite a bit on the ride-alongs. And being able to see my owner interacting with our customers based on the Inspire sales process, it works. It works. I mean, it's not only on paper, but seeing her working and dealing with the customer, if you follow it, it really works. So that was my main takeaway. Even though I'm really learning a lot, to be honest with you.
Nice. Vince, how about your biggest takeaway in the last week?
Well, I'm kind of like Ashley. I'm a little bit behind as well. But what I will say is that right now it feels as though we're drinking from a water fountain. There's so much information each and every day. But at the same time, I'm at the stage where it's trust the process. So my takeaway from last week and probably moving forward is we just have to trust the process.
Nice, nice. Let's see. Let's go to St. Louis. Will.
So I would say what I love is that the baseline for what the process is being explained so well, but it's not, you guys have never limited us to that baseline. It's using that to be the best us that we can be, basically. And I really took that away, and I think that's a great thing.
Nice. All right, let's go to the other Dan.
Everyone. Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway, Arlen, has been understanding the importance of getting the costs right in Salesforce, because as I look at some of the costs in my, they definitely need to be, validated, and it can make a huge difference both in being competitive or in terms of even being able to make any money. So yeah, I think that's critical.
Nice, nice. Tom Reeb.
I think the thing I realized was the vast amount of resources, technology, and really, I think our culture is what I came away from it. I told Mike Gagliano, my owner, I said, the fact that you put up so much of your money and pay floor covering so much, and coming from an engineering background with no sales experience, he's had a hell of a go of it for 18 months. So I'm excited to bring 40 plus years of sales to him. And the biggest thing, Arlen, he told me was, please beat me up when I'm not following the inspired sales. So I said, you don't do the reference thing, Mike. We got to get that fixed. We're not asking that question. And he appreciates it. So I feel like I have a real collaboration. I feel that way with the company.
Nice, nice. Let's see, Stephen Randolph.
I would say the overall technology of the tablet and how easy it makes doing the estimation, and just how easy the overall process becomes using that tool as a device versus manually doing the estimation.
Nice. All right, let's see, Keith Thomas.
So I think piggybacking on the last comment on the tablet, one, practice for me. But to me, it's like a ride along. Having played with it and played with the objections and seeing the directions or the help points change, I think is fantastic. So you've got, anytime you're panicking, it's one of the things I learned too, and doing a live run through, my sense of time feels like I'm really slow and I'm rushing, and I'm probably too fast on the tablet at times and making some mistakes. In reality, and it keeps time. So you've got more time than you think. You're not away as long as you think. So it's a good way to kind of become self-aware in the process, in addition to having the tools on how to handle objections and focus your presentation from there.
Nice. And so Ona, if I can tag onto that for just a second, a couple of things. One, we are going to play with the tablet some today. So if you don't already have it right next to you, you may want to do that while we're still transferring in. The other thing that I will tag onto that is, Keith, you may have noticed that up in the top right-hand corner of the tablet, while you're running an appointment, there's a rolling clock, and you can see how long you've been in the house. So people don't always pick up on that, but there is a rolling clock, and that's there for you for that very reason, so that you can see, oh my gosh, I've been in this person's house for 2.5 hours, or it feels like 2.5 hours, but it's really only been 20 minutes, right? So it kind of grounds you again. Let's see, where's Chad?
I'm here.
There he is.
I would say maybe not even just this week, but since I've started, like Paul, I came from Home Depot with 20 years, and we were ingrained with a certain culture and way of doing things there. So I think it's my biggest thing is keeping an open mind to the system, trusting that it works, and trying to incorporate things that I have from my background that I think might not so much make it better, but help me along the process. But it's definitely an eye opener to see how differently things are. So.
Nice. Julie.
Hello. I would say this last week, a home show we worked. So just learning setup from beginning to end, all points in between, talking to customers and setting appointments right there at the home show, learning that process as well. And then after the home show, we came and dug through the van and really looked at every part of the van. And so that was very turning point for me with the product as well.
Good. Let's see, Brett Johnson.
Yeah, echo what everybody else says. Just a lot of information. It's okay not to be perfect, and don't forget to be yourself. Like if you mess up, just don't just follow the script. Don't forget to be yourself.
Nice. Let's see, Jake.
Yeah, so this week, my biggest takeaway, I was actually on a ride along with the owner out here, and just watching him use the right questions to keep the customer included and active in the conversation actually ended up helping a lot, where they said they wanted one product, ended up being a different one based on different questions and concerns. And so asking the right questions and making sure keeping them involved was my biggest takeaway.
Nice. Let's see, David Hawkins. If Lisa's there.
Let me get off mute. Hey, everybody. So I think Arlen, the thing I remember the most this week was from last week's sales incubator class, and it's that idea of our questions early on have got to be targeted towards figuring out what the real objection is. Because the first time I read that question about what made you decide to do it today, even before they bought, I was like, what is that about? Why would you ask somebody why they're buying today when they haven't even said they are going to? And that was the whole point of the question. So I really logged that into my head because I think that's critical for me.
Nice. Nice. Let's see, Jennifer in the upstate of South Carolina.
Hey, I think for me, learning product and perfecting the tablet and just sort of everything clicking all of a sudden after being on ride-alongs and going to a home show again this weekend. I think we all must have had that. So, and just sitting in the van and learning the product.
Nice, nice. Oh, let's see. Who are we missing? Who are we missing here? Axel. Saw Axel jump on. Where is he? He was there. Let's see. Who else have we missed? We've missed Ethan.
Yeah, so I come from a place of commercial where everything was kind of price locked. I think we talked a little bit last week about a little bit of price conditioning. So I actually used that. I had two great opportunities to use that on Friday, and we actually closed both of them right there, just getting into and kind of eliminating the price concerns and knowing there was no need to show them the highest price product. So showed them what they could afford, and it was easy to get their sale based on our family values and our customer service. And then also having that price, we were the only quote they ended up getting. So
Nice. Let's see, Alana.
Hi there. So I'm still relatively new. My first ride along is tomorrow, but from these classes that I've been watching, consistency, following the process, sticking to the process, and repetition, I think that's pretty much what I've learned so far in these last few classes.
Nice, nice. Let's see. I'm gonna throw him a curveball. Jalen, anything that you picked up in the last week?
Anything that I picked up, well, for one, I can say that I got an understanding of how to better understand the measurements within the actual proposals. I mean, I don't really have to build the proposals, but when I'm looking at discrepancies within people's options, I'm understanding of what actually is built within the tablet, what they built in with the tablet, and I'm able to see how it's actually built in Salesforce. So that's one takeaway from me.
Nice, nice. And let's see, Kay, are you with us? She's logged in, but she doesn't have her camera, and and she looks like she's muted. All right.
Did you say Kay?
Oh, there she is. Yep, there we go.
Hey, sorry about the bad connection. I think the biggest aha moment for me this past week was having doing so many manual exercises. It kind of clicked that I need to think about the process. So I clear a room of furniture first, then remove the material, got to purchase the product. And just by doing it in the order that we would do if we were the actual people on the site doing it, made it a lot easier for me to remember to try to include everything.
Nice, nice. Okay, did I miss anybody? If I did, please take yourself off mute. If I missed you, it was not intentionally. Nope, good. All right, I've got everybody. Let's rock and roll. So today, I want to take a very, very quick look at the scorecard, and then we are going to dive in. Let me get the scorecard on the big screen. I updated the ride-alongs, I guess it was about 11 o'clock this morning. So if you happen to put stuff in after that, then I'll catch it on the next update. But let's share the screen with you. The other thing I did, some of you saw this in the group me. I know several people were having difficulty with the recordings. The point of the recording is not to try to trick you with the technology. The point of the recording is not even as a tracking mechanism. It really isn't that. The whole point of the recording is to force you to say something out loud. And so I've disabled the recordings. You won't get prompted to do any more recordings in the upcoming weeks. But I do ask that you, as you're practicing stuff, practice it out loud. If you just practice it in your head, it's not the same. You actually have to say it out loud. You have to hear yourself say it. You need to hear your own voice. I would say, if you want to get really serious about it, even record yourself. Set your camera phone up and record yourself asking these questions, and then watch yourself do it, right? And it's just a way of making it more natural. If the first time you ask a question, the first time you give the company story, or the first time you do something is in a customer's home, it's not going to sound right to you. And if it doesn't sound right to you, it's not going to sound right to them. Several of you today have said something about process. I'm going to scroll this over while we're talking. Several of you have said something about process today, right? And you appreciate the process and learning the new process and all that stuff. I will tell you, and those of you that have, a tremendous amount of sales experience, y'all will back me up on this. The best salespeople in the world follow a process. That doesn't necessarily mean they follow this process. I mean, it could be a different process, but salespeople, the best engineers, the best architects, the best professionals in their field, they follow a process for what they're doing. You have to follow a process. Otherwise, stuff gets left out. And I know there's some people that are very, very creative, and they're like, well, I don't really follow a process. I just sort of bounce here, bounce there. Yeah, but that's your process. I mean, that is your process, is to sort of go with where the customer is taking you and do your thing. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that everybody has a process that they follow. So if we're consistent in this process, then we can help one another. But as I've said, it doesn't mean that we're all going to do it exactly the same way. It doesn't mean we're all going to use exactly the same words. I'm trying to lay down for you a consistent process that we can learn together, and then we can work with together, and then, of course, you're going to take it and make it your own. I'm not going to go through the scorecard person by person. As I scrolled across, any questions or anything that popped up for you guys? You will get a chance to see this. Now, this week, I asked you to go through and complete week 2 for next week, and you're going to have all the way until next Wednesday, so it's going to feel like you've got extra time. You're going to be asked to get all the way through week 3 learning plan. Some of you are already there. So when I send this out this afternoon with the recording, I will ask that next week, by next Wednesday, you've got 1, 2, and 3 done, and by then you really should have all the Salesforce stuff done too. Good. All right. Yes.
No, I was just going to say, Arlen, it's Greg. On week 2, there were a couple of modules I completely finished, but it wouldn't let me close out of them and give me 100%. It wouldn't like fill the whole circle in.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes FloorU gets a little funky with that. I've been invited to be part of the task. So we share this. It's more information than what you need or even want. We share this platform with our sister companies. So we share this platform with California Closets, with CertaPro Painters, Pillar to Post. Our sister companies share the same platform. Obviously, ours is branded for us, and their websites have a different branding. I've actually been asked to be part of a task force to look at replacing this system at some point. I mean, there's some things about FloorU that are really, really good, and there's some other things that are funky. And that's one of the things that gets funky, because it'll close it for somebody else, but it won't close it for you, and there's no real rhyme or reason.
Okay.
So, which is why I don't get too hung up on the score number itself. Just keep plugging through. All right, good. So let's jump right in here. So what are we doing today? Well, we're going to do inspired sales stuff. We've done our transfer in. We've looked at our scorecard. I'm going to jump very quickly into the inspired sale practice, because this is where I want us to spend the bulk of our time. But before we dive into that, these were some of the things that you guys were asked to do this week. In the week 2 FloorU homework, was there anything in particular that came up that you wanted to ask questions about?
I have one, Arlen, about laminate. My
Yes.
question is, in the different videos and stuff, they talked about that you have to have transitions in every doorway for laminate. And I'm curious to know if that's true. Like, we have laminate in our home and we don't have transitions in every doorway. So does that depend on the laminate, or what's the rule
It
for that?
depends on the, good question. It does depend on the laminate, okay? And what I will say is, when you install any floor, it's worth going in and taking a look at the installation instructions that the manufacturer provides. Okay, you can get them online, or when you open the box, they're on a piece of paper right there, and it makes sense to take a look at those. Now, there are many laminates that you can go through the doorway, no transition whatsoever. However, for most laminates, for most luxury vinyl planks, for most floating floors, there's a limit to how long of a run you can go before you have a transition piece. And it may be it might be 50 feet, it might be 30 feet, it might be whatever. I remember, it wasn't one of my houses, it was somebody else's house that they had installed a laminate floor. And the way the upstairs was, there was like a master and then a long hallway and then another bedroom on the other end. And they had put this laminate through the master, down the hallway, and into the other room. And without any transitions, the floor ended up buckling. Well, the reason it buckled is because it was too long of a run. And so when the laminate tried to expand and contract, it couldn't expand, it couldn't push its own weight. And so it ended up buckling. All right. Well, when it buckled, the franchisee went to the manufacturer and tried to file a claim and said, hey, the floor failed. I want money to help me fix this. And the manufacturer literally went and pulled up the installation instructions where it said that the longest run could be 38 feet. And when they went to the house and measured it, it was 40 feet. And so there you go. Now the claim is denied. Now it turns out that it's a fairly simple fix. You go into one of the doorways and cut it and put a transition in, right? Because that transition piece is there to give the floor some space under the transition to be able to move. So I hate to give the answer, it depends, but it does. It depends on the product. Look at your manufacturer's installation instructions for that specific product and see how long of a run you can make. And if you can make the run, then you can do it without a transition.
But as far as the estimating goes, then it seems like it would be safer and better to just plan on transitions in the estimate.
Yep.
And then if we end up not needing them, that's an extra $50 or whatever.
That's right.
That we need to keep.
Yep.
Okay.
But if you want to play on the side of safe, okay, playing on the side of safe means that I'm putting a transition in every doorway.
Thank you.
Hey, Arlen,
Good.
this is
Yeah.
Aaron. I had a question. We had went to a house and I was going around with my owner and we were measuring, and we had one that was considered open wall. There's plenty of space or anything. Well, then we had another one and he said, well, no, this is an open wall because it's X amount of feet. So is it like over 5 feet is considered an open doorway where there's nothing, or how is there a set thing? I wasn't sure about that. If that makes any sense at all.
It's not a set thing. I mean, you're going to have to lean on your franchisee, and your franchisee is going to lean on their installer about how they want to handle those.
Arlen, the most important reason for putting in doors is if you're replacing the quarter round or the wall base, you need to know the linear feet. So if you just have an open wall, it's going to give you way too much product and you'll sink your canoe.
Yes, absolutely. When you start getting into trim, yep.
Arlen, I have one.
Yes.
So I went into a house this morning doing one of the homework assignments, and you walk in and then into the foyer, you walk into the foyer and then there's literally a Y, and one hallway goes 45 degrees right, one goes 45 degrees left. And so all the rooms had these crazy angles in them. And I know what we're trying to do is just establish what the area is, because we don't actually provide the drawings to the homeowner, right? In the proposal, they don't see that, right? But
that's correct.
My question was really around if it was carpet. I mean, today we were doing LVP and hardwood, but if it was carpet, do you need that for the seaming? Or I'm just trying to understand when it is important to try and get, more detailed with the drawing, or if it ever is.
Yeah. Carpet, if there's ever a place to get more detailed, it's in carpet, right? Because with carpet, you are concerned about the seams, and you are concerned about the direction of lay, and you're concerned about all these things, right? I can't put, if there's carpet that's in one hall, if there's carpet that's in a bedroom and carpet in the hallway, I can't run the carpet in one direction in the hallway and in the other direction in the bedroom, you'll see the seam. The carpet has to run in the same direction. So if I've got a house where it literally goes off at a Y and I'm doing carpet there, well, I might be talking to the customer about putting some sort of transition at the base of the Y so that now I can turn those rooms at a 45-degree angle or something. Because if I put those two pieces of carpet side by side, they're either going to see the seam, or I'm going to have to make sure that that carpet is running in the same direction, even though now that's not square to the room that I'm in, if that makes sense, right? If I'm running down a 45-degree hallway. So if there's ever a place where it makes sense to try to get those angles and to do that, it's with carpet.
Arlen, I have something to add to this. It's Craig. I just want to tell you that the reason you want to go over the seams as a salesperson, you don't want to have your installer walking in the house and asking your customer, where do they want the seams? It's almost like that all of a sudden it becomes they don't know, they don't think that you as a salesman communicated to your installer, they don't think you're talking, and it's really adds a lot of unnecessary conflict that you didn't need. So the seams, going over the seams is very important for your customers to know.
Yeah, it can be, especially if you have a funky shape. So good. Let's do one more. If there's one more question that we can cover. Nope. All right. So let's move into our inspired sale. So where are we so far? Well, last week, the last couple of weeks, we did our setup call. We talked about the warm-up, and we talked about step one and what we're doing in the warm-up. So let me just ask you guys this question. What is the most important thing that I'm trying to do in the setup call? If I could get one thing out of the setup call, what do I want to get out of that setup call?
You want them excited appointments.
Yeah, I want them to quit Googling somebody else, right? Quit booking appointments with somebody else, okay? So now in the warm-up, what is the most important subject matter? What is the most important thing that I'm trying to learn about in the warm-up?
The customer.
The customer, right? I don't want to know about the floor. I don't want to know about their religion. I don't want to know about their politics. I don't want to know about this project. I want to know about them. Okay, so everything's fair game. I mean, you know, let's not be creepy, but everything's fair game when it comes to vacations and what the kids do and all that kind of stuff. So I want to know about the person. Now, when I get into step two, what is the most important thing that I'm trying to understand?
Step
Objection.
two, the inspection.
The scope of the project.
Yeah, now I'm trying to understand the project, right? So if I think about it like this, the setup call is there to build some excitement and to get the customer excited about seeing us. The warm-up is about learning about the customer. And now when I get into step two, it's about learning about the project. Okay, now this is the time to understand, what am I taking out? What am I putting in? What do you want your new floor to look like? What do you hate about the old floor, right? It's all that good stuff. This step two is absolutely when I want to spend time understanding what this project looks like. Okay, so again, I don't get too worked up over the fact, oh my gosh, there's 11 steps to memorize. It really isn't that hard. Setup call, good. I'm building excitement. Warm up, I'm learning about the customer. Step two, all I'm doing is learning about the project. I mean, this is all stuff I got to do anyway. Okay, well now step three. What am I going to do in step three? Step three, I'm going to measure the job. So we have the inspection video. I'm absolutely going to take the inspection video, and we're going to talk about that today. But the biggest thing that I've got to do in step three is I have to measure it, and I'm going to go ahead and put some pricing together. Now, somebody is going to ask, how do I put the price together in step three if the customer doesn't pick out the product until step 6? What do y'all think?
Going
Yeah,
off.
I'm going to use the price group, I'm going to use the price group to make it easier, but why would I bother putting together in step 3? Why would I bother putting together a price and I don't know the product until I get to step 6?
To minimize
Price
the dead
conditioning.
time.
All
No,
right,
price
Brigitte, you said
conditioning.
minimize the dead time. What dead time?
Minimize the amount of time that we're away from the customer. So we'll just quickly put in price groups. Let's see. That doesn't really answer your question. Sorry. I thought I did answer.
They're
That's all right.
calling the referrals at that time, right?
Yeah, they're calling the reference list. Sure, they're calling the reference list, but Brigitte, you're absolutely right. It's about not having dead time, but let me show you where that dead time is. Okay? The dead time I'm trying to avoid is the dead time between step 6 and step 7. It's the dead time between picking the product and showing the customer the price. So just walk with me for just a second. Just walk with me down the mentality of the customer, right? Forget about us. Think about the customer for just a second. You've come into their home, you had a great warm up, they're really starting to like you. Man, we're jazzed up. You hit them with a great company story. Man, I want to work with this person. I mean, this guy, Dave Lee, I don't know what he did before, but he's a natural at this. I love this guy. Perfect. And I absolutely love this company and everything that they represent. And now Beto brings me this product that I've never seen before, and this is fantastic, and I love it. So when am I the most excited as a customer? As soon as I have fallen in love with that product, right? So think about the emotional roller coaster here. I got on the warm-up roller coaster, and it just took me up. And I went through the company story, and that took me even higher. And I got to the product presentation, and that took me even higher. And now, from an emotional standpoint, as a customer, I'm at the highest emotional peak of the whole time. I mean, you've been in my house for an hour. I'm more excited now than when you first came in the door. I love it. So how much time do I want to elapse between you fell in love with the product and now here's the price? How much time do I want there to be there?
You want to do
Very
it right
little.
away. You want to have to take advantage of the momentum.
Right.
They're
The
excited
least
about
amount
it.
possible. The least amount possible.
I want that to be like that. I want to be able to capture that emotion, and I want to be able to say, well, the price for your project is this. So step 7, when we get there, you'll see step 7 is a question and a statement. It's step 7 you do in 20 seconds. Okay, so this is no time at all. But I want you to think about the time if the customer said, I love this product, and then I said, okay, well, give me 20 minutes. I'm going to sit on the couch here and work up a proposal for you. In that one, the customer is going to say, well, if it's going to take you 20 minutes, go ahead and leave. I got to make dinner for the kids. You go ahead and leave, and you can email me the quote. And I have no reason to say not to, okay? The second thing is, if I do sit on the couch for 20 minutes and put a proposal together, all that emotion's gone. Now, by the time I show them the price, it's just not exciting anymore. Now it's annoying. So I'm trying to minimize the amount of time between step 6, when the customer says, that's the one I love, versus step 8, here's the price for it. I'm trying to minimize that time, which is why all the way back in step 3, we put together, this is what the price is. Now, I don't show the customer the price, but I know when I come out of step 3, I know what the price is, not only for one option, but for 3 options. Okay? So when I get to step 6, and I'm going to show you guys in the tablet today, this is the thing that I'm going to show you in the tablet today. I'm going to show you how I can change that price group to the actual product. So it might be that my price in step 3 is, depending on the size of the project, it could be plus or minus $1,000, but I want to get it down to the exact number. So I'm going to show you how, and this is quick, it's 30 seconds or less, how I can now take and swap out for the exact product. And so then when the customer has fallen in love with the product, it is 60 seconds or less before I'm showing them a price. Okay, so that's why that works the way that it does. All right, so we're going to talk about the inspection video. We're going to talk about measuring the job. Today we're going to focus some time around this step 3. So what is the reason that we take an inspection video?
Set ourselves
Out the
up as the
problem.
expert.
Yeah, okay, I wanna set myself up as an expert. I'm not gonna argue against that. What else?
Create a sense of urgency.
I want to establish a sense of urgency. So Greg, how does a video establish a sense of urgency?
When you find issues with the floor, the carpet buckling, as in the example, and you point that out to the customer. And first you come up with one issue you've seen, and the second would be the more extreme issue that needs to be fixed.
Okay, so what is the more extreme issue?
Finding the current status of the project, so how the carpet looks like, how the floor looks like.
Yeah, but so Greg said we're gonna have two big subjects in this, and I want the big subject. I want the biggest worst thing to be the last one that I do. Right? I completely agree with that. But what is the biggest worst thing?
You have to find out from the customer specifically what it is that they don't like about it.
Right.
Whether it's damage or something with. Yep.
Right. It's what the customer's thing is. So I remember being in a home, and the carpet had so many pet stains. I mean, it was nasty. I'm telling. We ended up doing this job, and when we pulled the floor back, it had a particle board subfloor, and you can see all these mounds in the particle board where the particle board had absorbed pet pee over the years. I mean, it was absolutely nasty. This house was nasty. And you had all these pet stains, urine stains, feces stains. I mean, the carpet was absolutely nasty, okay? And the customer, I asked the customer, what is it about this floor that makes you want to change it? They said, well, I've never liked this color. Color? You got to be kidding me, right? So I don't want to make an assumption on what the big thing is. For that customer, the issue wasn't the stains. Surprisingly, I mean, it was a surprise in my mind. The issue was they just didn't like that color. It was boring beige, and they wanted something more fun. They had gone blind to all the stains. Okay, so the big thing in the inspection video is, in fact, what the big thing was for the customer. It's not necessarily what you think is the big thing. You might look at all these wrinkles in the carpet and say, oh my gosh, that's a horrible tripping hazard. We got to take care of this. You know what? That might not be what they're looking at. They might be looking at something else. So the number one thing, the main reason we do this inspection video is actually to build our credibility. When you show something on camera, when you show something on a screen to people, it is amazing what they'll believe. Even if, look, you and I know that 95.5% of the stuff that's on the internet, all these videos that you see, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Reels, all this stuff, it's all fake. I mean, my gosh, all these videos are fake. But people believe them. Well, now you're going to actually do a real video, and people are going to believe it. So this is a sample script, okay? I don't intend for you to memorize this script. I don't intend for you might not even use this script. The only thing I will say is that when you start doing inspection videos, the hardest thing about doing an inspection video is starting it. So if you have this script, print it out don't memorize it, print it out on a piece of paper. You've got it right there on a clipboard that you've taken into the home. You've got this. As a matter of fact, I send it to you every week anyway. Print it out, put it on your clipboard. When you go into the house, this is how you can start the narration of your video. This is Arlen Brady with Floor Coverings International. I'm at the home of Janie Sandberg, 123 Main Street in Nevada. Janie, during my inspection, I found whatever it was. Now, this is caused by, all right, so this is where I'm setting myself up as the expert. Janie, during my inspection, I found these scratches, these deep scratches in the hardwood. And this is caused by the fact that this hardwood doesn't have a ton of polyurethane on the top. There's not a lot of protection against scratch resistance here. And if it's left untreated, first, the scratches that are already here are not going to get any better, but this is an indication that the surface of the wood has gotten to where it's going to continue to get damaged, and it's going to get really, it's going to get worse from here. But what I'm most concerned with is you said you just didn't like the color. And, this is the color that was installed. if it's not treated, what's going to happen? Well, you're going to continue to hate this room. You're going to continue to hate this floor. And I want you to be in a space that you really, really love. So in my professional opinion, I recommend that we go ahead and remove this, get a new floor in place so that you can really love your new space. Okay, whatever, right? It's okay. You stumble over some words, it's not a big deal. The beautiful thing in the tablet is it gives you the opportunity to retake it. You can retake it as many times as you want to. So this is just a way of getting started. This is Arlen Brady with Florida Coverings International. I'm at the home of, and then you'll get into it. Now, how long should this video be?
A bit under a minute 30 seconds.
90
Yeah,
seconds.
a minute, like if you start going over a minute, it's time to wrap this thing up, right? This has to be quick. The other thing that I want you to think about is I want the video to be able to speak for itself. So this is a mistake that we sometimes make. This is Arlen Brady with Floor Coverings International. I'm at the home of Dan Atkins. You know, I came in and Dan told me this, and then he told me this, and then he told me this. Well, now I'm referring to Dan in the third person. I really want to refer to Dan like I'm talking to Dan so that when the tablet plays it plays back as if the tablet's talking to him. So think about how this sounds, right? This is Arlen Brady with Floor Coverings International, and I'm at the home of Tom Reeve. Tom, during my inspection, I found this. This is caused by, and if it's untreated, this is what's going to happen. This is what I'm concerned about for you and for your family. Okay, so because then when it plays back from the tablet, it sounds like the tablet is talking directly to the person instead of talking about the person. Does that make sense? It's a small thing. I mean, if you don't do it, it's not like this is a life-threatening thing. It's just, it does make the inspection video carry a little bit more weight if the video is talking to the person instead of talking about the person.
It just feels right, Arlen. I mean, it's a process. You follow it. I think it's a lot easier.
The most uncomfortable that you'll ever be doing one of these is the first time that a customer watches you do it. At least it was for me. I'm in a customer's home and I go to shoot my inspection video and she's standing right over my shoulder, but I'm determined. I'm too stupid to do anything different, so I'm going to stick with the process and I'm going to do this. And so I start to shoot this inspection video and I said, you know, over here we've got these deep scratches that are in the floor and you can see the scratches here right by the door. You can see the scratches right here. And she taps me on the shoulder while I'm doing this. She goes, don't forget the ones over there. So I hadn't planned on doing it, but yeah, here we go. And I go over to the other side of the room and I get the other ones, right? Now, what was really interesting is she knew about the scratches in her floor. She saw me take the video. She heard me do the video. But when I showed her the video, she's looking at it and she goes, I didn't realize they were that deep. That looks horrible. It's crazy. People get blind to the things that they see every day. And by putting it on the screen where she could see it right there, I mean, it just really emphasized this is what's there. Questions about the inspection video?
Arlen, I just wanted to throw out there real quick. I think you said it maybe in the first meeting we had, our first inspired sales class, but I really like using the laser tool as a measuring device and as like also kind of just a laser pointer. It's something easy that we all have, and it just it's a great tool to point out specific problems that you might be seeing.
So I actually prefer, I'm looking, my bag is downstairs. I don't have it up here. What I actually prefer, Cody, is an actual physical pointer, right? You can get them on Amazon for cheap. It's one of those that, you know, you pull it out and it extends out and then you can physically point at stuff. And the reason I like those better is because I'm not arguing against the laser. I mean, if you've got the laser, that's cool. And the cats will chase it around the house and that's even more fun. But the laser, you know what you're looking at. Sometimes it's hard for people's eyes to track where that laser is going, especially if your hand's not really, really stable. But if you're using a physical pointer on the screen, it just is so easy to follow because you can see that physical stick going all the way down to the floor where you're touching the problem, and it just makes it super easy. I love tools and inspection videos. My favorite tool in an inspection video, my favorite tool is a black light. Y'all know what I mean by a black light? Okay. So you go to Amazon, you go ahead and spend the $30 or $35 to get a good one, right? Something that's got some power to it. You will sell more carpet by showing people stains that they can't see. When you shine a black light is going to show urine. It's going to show. Now, if you have boys at home, just do yourself a favor and don't shine it in your bathroom. You're not going to want to realize how far up the wall that stuff goes. You just don't want to know. And if you ever go into a house that has carpet around the toilet, you really don't want to. You just don't want to know. You really don't want to see that. But
it really
you will
shows a lot of things.
What's that?
No, it really shows a lot of things. I've used that thing before, and it's you can't imagine everything that shows up under that light.
Especially if you have a house where the people have just moved in, right? Because I mean, if somebody's been there for 10 years and now you feel like you're blaming their dog, and that feels a little weird. But if they just bought the house, you can blame the previous owner's dog all day long, because it's not the dog's fault, it's the parent's fault anyway, and you can blame them.
Arlen, in a commercial job, do not take it into a hotel room.
No, you don't want to know that either. You really
You know what? You'll never use a bedspread for the rest of your life.
That's right. Nope, you don't want to know. Ignorance is bliss, my friend.
Also, for those
All right.
who live in the Southwest, they illuminate bark scorpions like magic.
Yep, we use them all the time at my house. All the time, scorpion hunting.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Let's keep moving. So in step 3, we're going to talk a little bit about measuring and estimating, and this is where I will eventually come to the tablet. So I want to keep things really, really simple. If we are measuring a space that, it's a room and it's just got this little corner that's an angle, or let's say I'm in a kitchen and the kitchen has this little bay window and maybe it's got a couple of small islands, it's not worth the time to try to get all this detail exactly right. It's just not worth it. Your time is much better spent in front of the customer, spending time with the customer. So frankly, if I'm going into a home like this and I see this little cutout, I'm measuring this as just a box. I'm measuring left, right, front, back, and move on to the next thing. All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to come up with the square footage for this. And all right, so the question about carpet, if I'm thinking about carpet, well, if I were going to roll carpet out, that little corner is going to end up being scrap anyway. So what difference does it make if I leave it in or take it out? I'm not going to be able to use that little corner anywhere else anyway. So yes, if there's going to be any place that I want the extra precision, it's going to be carpet. But a little corner like that, it's just not worth it. So I'm going to make that a square. And frankly, in a space like this, I'm going to make this square. I'm going to take this, especially if that's if that's a big bay window, then maybe I end up making a separate room or something for that. But I just want to make this as simple as possible. I want to go wall to wall, front to back, left to right, and move on to the next room. Because, I mean, if you think about it, hard surface, like most of your hardwood, is going to come in a box that's roughly 25 square feet. Well, if this is like a little, a 2 foot by 2 foot island, 2 foot by 2 foot, what is this? I've got like 4 square feet here. Who cares? It's not worth it. It's not worth the time. So you could spend an hour trying to get all this right and get all this and get it down to the exact square foot. Or you could make a box and now you're on to the next room. The guy that makes this a box, the person that makes this a box and moves on to the next room has the job sold, and they're out at the van gone before the person that's trying to make it exactly right even has the drawing done. So just square things off and move on, okay? I look at a space like this kitchen, and I think, so Chad says you could be short on trim. Yeah, you could be, right? But let's think about this for a second. If I take this same approach, right, how am I going to measure a kitchen like this? Well, I could make this, I could make like an L shape out of this. All right, so now here's a question about trim. If I just don't bother putting that doorway in, and I don't bother messing with that doorway, well, now I've picked up 3 extra feet of trim here and 3 extra feet of trim here, and then that might cover me here. Trim is the easiest thing in the world to come back to if I really had to. So one thing, I could measure it like this. I'll tell you the way that I like to measure a room like this is just make 2 squares. Go wall to wall, and if I'm bothered about the amount of counter space, you know, I'm going to go from drywall to drywall, drywall to drywall. And if I'm bothered by how much space is under the counters that I'm not going to end up flooring, I'll show you how to do a takeout so that we don't have to worry about that. So keep in mind that your drawings need to be close enough. You're not trying to recreate the house. It's not like you're giving this to an architect so that they can go back and rebuild this house somewhere. You're just trying to come up with a close enough square footage number.
It does happen, Alan. Sorry to interrupt, but this past weekend we actually encountered a room like that, and I was spending a lot of time trying to make it perfect. And my owner said, no, that's not the way you do it. We need to make it quick. And so she actually created like 3 squares, and it's a lot easier. And it covered all the bases. So I think you're.
It does. It's a lot easier. It's a lot faster. And the reality is, you could have taken this and you could have spent 40 minutes in here getting it blah, 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 exactly. And I could have been in and out in about 20 seconds. And I'd be willing to bet that when we compared our numbers, we'd be within just a few square feet of one another.
Yeah, I tried. Like I said, I tried to make it perfect, and actually hers was a lot more accurate.
There you go. Yeah.
Arlen, I'd like to add one thing.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. I like to say there's always an exception to every rule. And when you get into, I had my own store, I had a couple stores, and I'm not trying to brag, but when you get into pricing that's $12, $13, $14 a square foot, you want to make sure that that estimate is pretty accurate. You can be a little bit extra, you could be somewhat, but there's always a fine line, because you don't want your competitor to come in there and say, listen, it's 50 foot short at $12 a square foot. That's a lot of money. Yeah. So you have to be able to feel confident that you're not cutting yourself short.
Yeah. My goal, I'm not trying to cost anybody money. I'm not trying to make somebody show up short. I'm trying to get close enough, right? And so my level of precision, you're right. If it's a really, really expensive material, then maybe I do want to make sure that I'm a little bit tighter. But at the end of the day, for most of the stuff that we're going to do, and you're right, there's always exceptions, this is going to be close enough and move on.
What if it's a big takeout or a really big angle that you can see it's going to either cost you extra in materials, or?
Then do a takeout.
Okay.
Okay, then just do a takeout.
A pyramid, if you get a triangle, it's very easy. Length times width, the whole thing, and you divide it by half. That's it. It's half a triangle.
Plug in a takeout.
Yeah, it's so, we get confused with triangles, but they're not really that hard.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the tablet and we're gonna do some of this, but I wanna show you this first so that I'm not having to bounce back and forth. When I'm in the tablet, I want to build options. Okay, I told you that we're gonna show the customer a price. We're gonna show the customer. We're gonna build an option in step 3, and then when we get to step 6, once the customer has picked the exact thing. Okay, option 1. Option 1 is let's say, I'm not going to overprice this. I'm not trying to take advantage of the customer. But option 1 is sort of a, if money weren't an issue, this is the way that I would do this. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm pulling the most expensive thing out of the van. I'm not trying to sell the customer on something they don't need or want. But the reality is, for this project, this is the way that I would do this if I weren't budget constrained. Option 2 might be, and depending on the product, depending on the project and depending on the customer, you might end up explaining it differently for different people, for different customers. So option 2 might be, this is exactly the way that you asked me to do it. Or you might tell them option 2 is, if it were my house, this is what I would do. Okay. And option 3 is going to be, this is the least expensive way to get this job done, but still done right. Now, I know that there's going to be competitors that will price it even lower by cutting a lot of corners and doing some things that are not really the right way to do it. But this is the cheapest that I can do it and still do the job the right way. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to the van and I'm going to pull sample boards. How many sample boards do I want for option 1?
2
1
to
or
3.
2.
I'll say at least 3.
3 to 4.
So I'm pulling for option 1. Option 1 represents a price estimate. Okay. Again, we're still talking about a rough draft, right? We're still in step 3. But option 1, here's 3 or 4 boards that are close enough in price, close enough, and they may not be exactly the same, but they're close enough in price. They're in the same price group. So here's option 1, and these 3 or 4 boards are close enough in price that I'm going to call this my option 1. Now, option 2, maybe that's 2 or 3 boards, and they're close enough in price. They're not exact, but they're close enough in price that I'm happy to say that this range, this is kind of my option 2 range. And option 2 is probably 20 or 25% less than option 1. So think about this. If I had a $10,000 option 1, I've quoted a price. I've got a price now in my head. It's about, or on the tablet, it's about $10,000. And you tell me that option 1 is way too expensive. And then I show you option 2 and it's $9,500. Did I really do it? Did I really change anything? No. 10,000, 9,500, it's all the same thing. But if I show you 10,000 and then my option 2 is, call it 7,500 to 8,000, well, now all of a sudden that's a change. Okay, now that's a big enough change. That's why we're saying a 20, 25% drop, because that needs to be a big enough drop that it is significant. And then another significant drop from option 2 to option 3. And again, option 3 might be 1 or 2, maybe 3 boards that represent option 3. So we're going to strategize for a minute. How can I come up with these 3 different options? Well, one way that I could do it, let's say that the customer says, I want a floor that looks like wood. Okay. Well, one way that I could do that is I could create option 1 and I could use a PG3 hardwood. And option 2 might be a PG2 hardwood, and option 3 might be a PG1 hardwood. So the exact same space. I want my living room, I want a brand new hardwood floor in my living room, and so option 1, option 2, option 3, all 3 of them are hardwood. Perfect. What's another way that I could come up with 3 different options for this customer?
Show them a wood look like a LVP or a laminate.
Yeah. So you said you want it to look like wood. Well, option 1 might be hardwood. Option 2 might be a luxury vinyl plank. Option 3 might be a laminate. Okay. Do all of those look like wood? Yep, all of those look like wood. So it might be that now what I've done is I'm telling the customer, you know, option 1, here it is, $10,000. The customer says, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a heart attack, way too much money. Okay, let's take a look at another option. Here's a luxury vinyl plank. This is going to be more like $7,500. Oh my gosh, that's way too much. Okay, here I've got a laminate for you, and this is going to be more like $5,500. Perfect, that I can do. Okay. So in step 3, all the way back in step 3 is when I'm strategizing. How am I going to build my options? What's another way that I could come up with 3 options for this customer?
You could remove some labor costs to the customer. I know my experience, that's one thing that people think that they can definitely do themselves. I can do demo. I can move furniture.
Could be. Yep. How else could I do? Could I come up with another option?
How about remove a room?
Yeah, right. I could change scope. Okay. So let's say option 1, we're going to do the whole house. You said you were looking at doing the upstairs, downstairs. It's just a matter of how much it is. So option 1, I'm going to measure the whole house, and we're going to give you a price for the whole house. Maybe option 2 is just the downstairs and the bonus room, because you said the bonus room, that's your office, and you want to do something with that. So maybe we're just doing the downstairs and the office. And then maybe option 3 is just the downstairs, or maybe option 3 is just the living room, right? So it could be that I'm coming up with 3 different options. Now, you have competitors, and this is a very, very important distinction. You have competitors that will flip a price in the home, and they'll say, the price to do your project is $10,000. and the customer says, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a heart attack, that's too much money. And then your competitor may say, well, I tell you what we can do. If you'll sign today, but only today, this is our Monday afternoon special, and because you're signing on a Monday afternoon, if you'll sign today, I could do this for $8,000. Okay, but what changed? Nothing changed. So that, to me, sounds really, really shady.
It's a gimmick.
My apologies.
Right, why didn't he offer you that price to begin with?
Right. So, and my apologies to anybody that has been taught in the past for other companies to sell that way, but it really does sound shady. I mean, if you could have done this project for 8, 2 minutes ago it was 10, what's changed? Well, nothing's changed. Okay, the only thing that changed is now you're trying to twist my arm and doing something today. Okay, so when we're building options, we're not talking about, here's my option 1 at 10, and then I'm going to go in and change my margin so that now option 2 is, no, this isn't about changing margin. This is truly about changing the scope, because if $10,000 just isn't in this person's budget, that's okay. I'm not going to twist somebody's arm to spend money they don't have. Great. If that's not in your budget, if you're not comfortable with that, hey, we don't have to do the whole house today. We can just do this part. And then like Cody said, we could remove some services. So what do I mean? If you want to move the furniture yourself, we can, no problem, you can do that. You want to take the carpet out yourself, take the old carpet out and throw it away? Sure, you can do that. What other services can you think of? What other, I'm not going to call them extras, because we really do prefer doing it, all the way through for a customer. But what are some other things that you might be able to take out of your proposal to bring the price down?
Maybe
Trim.
make your carpet pad.
Furniture moving.
Furniture moving, a different carpet pad, what else?
Trim.
Trim? Yeah, you might be in a customer's house that, they're handy and they're comfortable putting their own trim back up. Okay,
Right.
great. Do your own, if that's the deal for you, good. What else? What other services could you maybe let the customer handle for themselves?
What if they want to go pick up the materials or something? Like if they come get the materials from you and bring them to their house?
Maybe, if there's
What
some
if-
savings there for you. Could be. What else?
What if they want to do the installation themselves? Would you let them?
Well, you might. I mean, you could sell them just the product, right? You got somebody that's really handy, and so, they're evaluating you against you. They're not evaluating you against your competitor. They're saying, hey, Greg, I want to see what it costs for you to do it because I'm thinking about doing it myself. And you say, okay, look, I'm going to price it up 2 different ways. I'll price it up with me doing everything, and then I'll price it up with me just selling you the material, and you can do it. And you can decide if that's worth your time to do. My dad has a house. It's a rental house in North Carolina, and he wants to redo the floors. And he's asked me about doing it. And I told him, I said, look, I'll be happy to do it for you. I said, I would love to do this. I'd absolutely love to do the floors for you, and I can do the installation. I said, but Dad, one thing you got to realize is I'm really, really busy. I work 6 and 7 days a week. So if I'm going to do it, I'll be happy to do it, but it's probably going to take me 6 months to do it because I'm going to drive up and I'm going to do a little bit today, and then I'm going to drive back up and do a little bit, and then I'm going to drive back up and do a little bit. It'll probably take 6 months for me to get this done. And in 6 months' time, I mean, that's 6 months worth of rent that you don't have the house rented out. You're probably better off hiring somebody to do it and just let them do it. As much as I'd love to do it for him, okay, so now he's got to evaluate. This is a mathematical equation. 6 months worth of rent. It's not, well, Floor Coverings International is this much and I could just do it on the side for this much. No, it's, if I do it on the side, then it's how much rent am I losing over 6 months waiting for Arlen to get this thing done?
It's your ROI. Yeah.
Although I think it would be a lot of fun to try to teach while I'm on my hands and knees putting a floor in. So I don't know.
All right, then I got something to add to that. It's the time frame. It's always time frame. So, if they say, listen, my Uncle Joe is, he's been in the union 40 years and guess what? He's going to handle the installation. The first thing you bring up is, well, how long is it going to take though? Like we come in, we get it done one day, we're out. Everything's
Sure.
The uncle's going to take you forever. So that's a good way to talk them out of that part.
Yeah. Or I like to say, you know what? If your Uncle Joe, if he's great at doing this, that's fantastic. But, you know, let's say that something goes wrong on this project, and now Thanksgiving comes around and you got to sit across the table from Uncle Joe, and it just makes Thanksgiving really, really kind of awkward, doesn't it? If something goes wrong when I'm here, you can choke my neck because you don't have to see me at Thanksgiving.
What are the repercussions with things like that, Arlen, in terms of warranty coverage? You know, are some manufacturers, are our major suppliers like Shaw going to warrant an owner-installed product?
Well, they'll warrant the product, but they're not going to warrant the installation. I mean, so if it and one of the big problems, if you will, with somebody doing it as a DIY, I can almost guarantee you it's always going to be an install error, even if it's not.
Yeah, I had a friend who did it himself, and it took him forever, like 6 months.
Yeah. All right. So let's keep trucking. So when we're building these options, okay, what's another service that you could, or service or scope that you could put in, take out, whatever you need to do to get these options where you want them?
How about financing? I mean, if that's an issue.
Yeah, but that's not going to affect how I'm building my options.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm back
Subfloor
in
work,
step
possibly.
3. I'm trying to decide what I can put in, what I can take out. What are some things that I could put in?
Could adjust your margin if you want, or
what about subfloor work
I'm not
on
really gonna plug
waste
the margin.
factor?
Margin
Waste factor,
removed.
Maybe.
I
We got to
think
think bigger than that.
Area
What do you guys
rugs,
think about? What was that?
area rugs.
Oh, bingo. There it is. Area rugs. Okay. So if you put in if somebody rips carpet out and they put in any sort of hard surface, 93% of the time they're going to buy an area rug. But you know what? They never buy it from us because we never ask for it. I mean, you have them, you just forget to ask for it. So the reality is you could absolutely put area rugs in your option 1. And then you know what? If that $2,000 custom area rug is too much, look, you can go to Walmart and get an area rug. Let's pull that out, option 2, and we can reduce the price of the project based on the cost of the area rug alone. That's an easy drop. So if I think about where we are with this, step 1, I'm identifying what the customer's objection is, right? Step 2, I'm identifying what the problem is, and I'm understanding something about the project. And then I'm creating urgency through my inspection video. Then when I get to step 6, now I'm showing the actual product. And when I'm showing the product, I'm explaining to the customer, we'll get to step 6 in a couple of weeks. When I get to step 6, it's why did I pick that product and how does it solve the problem? And I've got to understand how I'm going to explain that to the customer, okay? So I want to bounce out of this. I want to jump into the tablet, okay? Because I want to show you what I mean by being able to swap the product out. Let's share my tablet screen. And let's go into InspireNet. I'm just going to create simple training task. I click on the plus and create my training task. By the way, if I do anything while I'm doing this, if I do anything that you're not sure how I got there, I want you to stop me and ask me how I did it. So I'm going to open up the training task here. When I open the training task, you'll see if it was a real customer, you'd see the customer information here. Then I'm going to hit the go button on the bottom right-hand side. Yes, I want to start this appointment. Now you'll notice, this is one of the brilliant things about the tablet is all the stuff that we're talking about is right here. Too many times we just fly past this, but look, if the warm-up, what do I want to talk about? Pets, kids, interests, neighborhood, don't talk about business. There's my transition questions waiting for me. So I'm not going to open this up in front of the customer and ask the questions, but I might be sitting in the van, you know, around the corner at the park, sitting under a tree, waiting for 15 minutes to show up at the house. And I'm refreshing this in my mind, right? I'm refreshing this, I'm rehearsing this. Inspection, great, here we go. And they're selling the reference list, get a commitment. Can you do me a favor? Give them information, why bother calling the references, and give them a reason to do it. So bottom right-hand corner, I hit the next button. And there's my transition question. How long have you been thinking about replacing the floor? Oh, I don't know, 6 months to a year. And I can mark it. Well, what made you decide to do it today? Oh, I'm going to get some other estimates. And I give the customer the reference list. Did they agree to call the reference list? Well, there's that indicator down at the bottom. Now watch. I picked, I need to get other estimates. When I hit the next button at the bottom, interestingly, the tablet gives me a primary and secondary strategy. It shows me what is it that I should really, really focus on. So the customer says I'm getting other estimates. Well, if they're getting other estimates, then my primary area of focus is on step 6, educating the customer on their options when it comes to buying floor. Focus on apples to apples and show them why we're the only estimate that they need. And so I really, really need to do a great job in step 6 when I'm showing them the product. And my second area of focus is on step 4, which is the company story, and really showing them why Floor Coverings International is the right company to work with, okay? So we look at this and we say the primary and secondary strategy, how am I going to attack this appointment? And it's going to be with, if I don't get anything else right, I need to get these 2 things right. All right, so I'm going to go back a screen for just a moment and just show you this. Let's say that, well, I'll use the example we had a minute ago. I'm considering doing it myself. So I'm just trying to see how much it costs for you to do it because I'm considering doing this project myself. Now watch what happens when I hit the next. My primary and secondary strategies are different. So now my primary strategy in step 5, which is the installation video. So if I help the customer understand what the finished process looks like, what does it really mean to install this, and highlight the professionalism in what we do, that's what I really need to nail. And then in step 2, I really need to establish myself as an expert. If there's any uncertainty whatsoever, then this could kill the deal. So I need to make sure that my expert opinion is what the customer is going to rely on. Okay, so this is it's really a neat tool because no matter what I do, I'm just starting out doing research. I hit next. What are my primary and secondary strategies? Well, my primary area of focus is on step 2. I have to get the customer to call the reference list. Yeah, I absolutely have to get them to do the due diligence so that they know that we're the right company to work with. And then the secondary strategy is in step 4, the company story. Okay, so enough about that. Just know that that's there. I hit the next button again, and this is where I would do my inspection video. When the tablet is connected to Zoom, it will not allow me to shoot the video, so I'm going to skip that for right now. And we're just going to come over here and draw something. So let's draw, I'm just going to do a square room, touch the screen, and we'll make this 13 by, 18. And we'll call this a master bedroom. So let's hit confirm, and we're going to call this a master bedroom. Right there. Now, if I just leave that as bedroom, it's fine. There's no problem with that whatsoever. I can leave it just like it is. I will tell you that whatever titles you put here are going to show up on your proposal. So if you were to come back and say, well, this is the master bedroom, I can call that the master bedroom, and then when it shows up on the customer's proposal, it's going to say master bedroom over that section. So that's kind of neat. You can kind of personalize that a little bit.
Arlen, I just
If
want
I have a door, yeah, Craig.
I'm sorry. I just want what I usually did too is like if I'm dealing with children, I would always ask which child is in each room, like in case they want to have different colors, different things. And then when they see the proposal, they'll see their names and makes it more personal.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so I can pick a wall for the door. You guys have played with this already. We don't need to spend a lot of time here. I can click on door, and now I get the door menu. You guys know that, like, if that 13-foot wall is really just an open wall, I can click on that, and it makes it the whole thing a wall. I mean, the whole thing a door. Or I can make a special, I can call it a 3-foot door, a 6-foot door. I can put in actual numbers. I can change it. Is it the distance from the left or the distance from the right? I can move it. Do I need to trim the door? Do I need a transition? Yes, I need a transition. No, I'm not going to trim the door. And yes, you can add photos and videos here too. So I'm going to go to the next box that says, actually, you know what? I'm going to go back to the floor plan. We'll draw another space. So there's my master bedroom. All right, let's do a bathroom. So now I'm going to do another square, and this square, let's say it's 5 feet wide and it's 10 feet long. Oops. It's 10 feet long. And I'm going to hit confirm, and this is going to be a bathroom. And I'm going to put a door in this bathroom. That's going to go there. Now, takeout. What is a takeout? A takeout is not something that I'm going to take out of the room. A takeout is a certain amount of square footage that I'm removing from the proposal. Okay, so when I was a kid a long, long time ago, back in the Stone Age, you know, we talked about subtraction as takeaway. So 10 take away 7 is 3. So we talk about takeaway, right? Well, that's what the takeout is. Right now, this room, if you look over on the, I know it's hard to see on the screen, it's 50 square feet, 5 times 10, 50 square feet. Now I'm going to take out a certain amount of square footage. I want to remove a certain amount of square footage. So I'm going to do that with a takeout. So let's say there's a vanity that's in the bathroom, and we're not going to take the vanity out to do the floor. We're just going to leave the vanity where it is. I'm going to hit the takeout button, add a new takeout. That's the little plus on the left-hand side. And I have 3 ways that I could create this takeout. One way is that I could enter a number of square feet. So you see square feet at the top. If I click on square feet, now, I know it's hard to see, but over there where it says write your notes here, just above that, there's a little box that says square feet. So we were talking earlier, what if I had a diagonal corner? What if I had an island? Well, let's say that I had an island that was 6 feet by 3 feet. Okay, well, 6 times 3, that sounds like 18. I could put 18 square feet here, and it's going to remove it from the proposal. Okay. But let's say that I'm not good at math. And when I measured this, it's not 6 by 3. I mean, that's very easy. It was 4 foot 10 by 2 foot 8 or whatever. Okay, no problem. Instead of square feet, if I click on the next button down that says measures, I can put the exact measurements in. So this is an island. This is something that's got to be, it's got to be removed from the square footage. And I could go in here and say that the length of this is 5 foot 4 and the width was 2 foot 8 or whatever it was. And the tablet will do the math for you. Now, frankly, I'm a lot lazier than that. I don't even like doing that. I'm too lazy to do the math in my head, and I'm much too lazy to enter 4 numbers in here. So what I would much rather do is use standard cabinets. So what do I mean by standard cabinets? Roughly speaking, how deep is a standard set of kitchen cabinets? How deep is a standard vanity in the bathroom?
21 to 24.
Yes.
1 foot 9 inches.
So it's about 21 inches, right? It's in that neighborhood. I mean, that's what we're going to remove. Well, the tablet knows that number, or it's close enough. So I measure this vanity, and I realize that this vanity is 5 feet long, and I'm just going to put in here 5 feet, 5 linear feet. And you'll notice that what it does when I put that 5 linear feet, so imagine, if you will, I walk into this bathroom, there's a vanity over here, it's 5 feet long. I'm not going to measure, I take my little laser, confirm, yep, that's 5 feet, or close enough to 5 feet. I don't care if it's 5'2", I don't care if it's 4'6", I don't care. It's close enough to 5 feet. I'm putting a 5 foot takeout for standard cabinets. Now, here's how lazy I am. When I walk into a kitchen, I see one of these big islands. I look at this island and I say, okay, how many cabinets is that side by side? Well, that looks like it's 2 cabinets side by side. So if it's 6 feet by like 3 feet, I say, oh, that looks like 12 feet of standard cabinets to me. Because it's just that much faster and it's close enough. So I look at this and I say, yep, here we go. So this has given me a number now. It's hard to see underneath there, but it has given me whatever it is, 8.75 or something. We'll take a look at it when it gets over to the other screen. So that's what is meant by a takeout. Now, does it matter where it draws it in the room? No, because it's actually not going to draw it in the room. All it's going to do is remove that amount of square feet from the proposal. It doesn't matter where it's sitting in the room. Items to move. Most of you are familiar with this. If it's an appliance, good, we put an appliance. If it's a toilet or a pedestal sink or something, we can put that there. If it is, you know, a heavy item, so let's say this is a bathroom, we probably have a toilet to move. That's good, we can do that. A heavy item to move is a singular item that is heavy to move, like a pool table or a grandfather clock, or something that's going to require extra labor to move. That's not the same as I have a bunch of stuff. And then, of course, we've got the screen for photos and notes that we can look at. So let's go back to the floor plan. I'm going to move this bathroom over here so that maybe it sits more closely to what's really happening in this house. Who knows? Questions on anything that I've done so far? This is all old hat. You guys are doing this in the exercises. You know how to do all this.
I have a question, please. You mentioned earlier there was a timer. Where is the timer on your screen? It shows how long you're in the appointment.
So it's going to show up. It's going to show up right up here. So in the top right-hand corner, you see the dollar sign, that last little circle that has a dollar sign in it at the top of the screen. And then right beside that dollar sign is the number 12. See the 12?
Hey, Paul, the people's faces might be blocking. You might have to move it down.
Yeah, you might have to move it, Paul. Yeah, because it's kind of dark.
I can see the whole screen. I just can't see any numbers.
Okay. So there's up at the top right, there's a little dollar sign, and right beside that dollar sign, right now, there's a number 12. That means we've been talking about this for 12 minutes. And you'll see at some point it'll change to 13. You don't get seconds. I mean, that would be kind of annoying to sit there and watch it turn seconds over.
Just move
But
you should just move the bathroom right underneath it so people can see it.
So Arlen, quick question. When you went in, how did you hit the plus? How did you get the training piece? Because I tried that on mine. It didn't pull up training, or there's no menu. How did you actually get it to a training function when you hit the plus in the screen initially?
When I hit the plus, it gave me a big black box that said training task.
You got to click on the box first, though.
Keith, did you get it?
Yep. Got it.
Okay, perfect. All right. So we'll do one more room here just for fun. And this room I'm going to draw. So I'm going to hit my pencil. And when I'm drawing a room, there's two common mistakes that people make. The first mistake is that they try to drag their finger across the screen. This is not a drag. You literally touch the screen to put the corners where the corners belong. The second mistake that people make is they'll double tap the screen. And what ends up happening is you end up with two walls, one on top of the other, and you can't see it, but there's actually two walls, one on top of the other, and you'll get an invalid shape error. So I'm just going to make an L shape, and I'm going to touch the screen, and then I'm going to come over and I'm going to touch the screen again. And it doesn't matter if that's not the right size of the wall. Once I put the dimensions in, the tablet will resize it accordingly. So I'm just going to touch the screen again, and then I'm going to come up. Go over and come up and go across, and then I do not want to touch the screen again. So I do not want to try to close this shape with my finger. Instead, I'm going to go over here to the left where it says close shape, that little check mark, and I'm going to touch that little check mark, and the tablet is going to close the shape for me. So let's say that this happens to be, that wall, now the highlighted wall, happens to be 5 feet. And this wall happens to be more like 15 feet. And let's say that guy happens to be like 5 feet. And this is probably more like, oh, see, that's not right. Let's go back, undo the last wall. I've pinched myself into a corner. That's going to be 2 feet. This is going to be a really, really skinny hallway. 2 feet, 6 inches. And then this guy is going to be, we'll call this 10 feet. And that's going to be 2 feet, 6 inches. Yep. And now it resizes it accordingly. I don't know. This is some sort of weird hallway. Now, I'm not going to bother putting doors in here. I'm just going to put that like that. And then I realized after I had done the drawing that the hallway is right, but it actually should be turned in a different direction. So if you'll notice, the hallway is highlighted. At the top left-hand corner of the hallway, there's a little curved arrow. If I touch that arrow, I can rotate this hallway around. Now, it only rotates in one direction, but it might be that that hallway really belongs more like that.
Hey, Arlen, quick question about the draw feature. So I kind of was just playing around with it, and I noticed that it kind of maybe likes going in more of a counterclockwise versus a clockwise direction as far as when you're drawing it. Have you kind of experienced any of those issues with it, or?
Some people say that. To me, I've never noticed a difference, but I have had some people say that their tablet seems to prefer clockwise versus counterclockwise or vice versa. I will say whatever pattern you can get into, just get into a pattern and stick with that pattern. All right, let's do one more room because I want to show you an angle. So I'm going to hit the drawing again. And this time, again, I want the last wall. I want the tablet to do the last wall. So I have touched the screen now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I've created 5 corners here. And now I'm going to hit the check mark that says close shape so that the tablet will create that diagonal for me. And the reason I want to force the tablet to create the diagonal is because it's really easy to measure these straight walls. It's really hard to measure the diagonal wall. So if I do the straight walls and I say this wall happens to be 8 feet, and this wall happens to be 16, and this wall happens to be 16, and this wall happens to be 8, the tablet can figure out that that one's 11'4". I don't have to worry about it. I can hit confirm. We'll call this some kind of funky living room. I'm not going to bother with doors. We know how to do that, and I can make a living room. This is the weirdest shaped house ever. Maybe the living room's on the other side. I don't know. We can move that over here. I can scale this down so we can fit it all in. I don't know. We're just playing around. Good so far? All right. So again, you guys have done most of this, so I'm going to move quick. I'm going to hit all 3 of these, and I'm going to hit space info. And I'm quite happy to just say that we are removing, I don't know, let's say that we're removing a floating floor. So there was, we had a luxury vinyl plank in here. We're going to rip it all out. Standard furniture move I'm happy with. The subfloor is plywood. I'm okay with that. I'm going to hit the enter button so that they're all the same. And then I'm going to hit the bottom right, the little dollar sign. And now I have the ability to make 3 options. So how can I make 3 options in this space?
Could you just highlight them all and then click the icon where it's duplicate?
Yeah. Yep. So absolutely. But Beto, help me with a strategy. What's the strategy for coming up with 3 options here?
Well, let's say that we're going to use PG3, PG2, and PG1.
We could. Okay, we absolutely could. Or we could do a PG3. We could do a hardwood, then we could do an LVP, then we could do a laminate, or we could leave a room out or whatever, right? So there's a lot of different ways that we could do this. So let's just start. Exactly. We're going to do hardwood to start. So let's click all of these rooms, and I'm going to hit the Set Install Info button, and I'm going to pick hardwood up here at the top. And And just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to leave the defaults where they are, and I'm going to pick a PG3 hardwood, and I can select that, hit enter again. Oops, I missed a room. No problem.
Yeah, for
I can
some
click-
reason it didn't get you, it didn't get the hole. For
That's
some
okay.
reason.
No problem. So I'm just going to click the hall, and I'm going to hit set install info. I'm just going to do it again. I'll pick hardwood. No big deal. I'm going to pick the same hardwood, PG3. Oops, PG3. Yep. And pick it and hit enter. Enter again, and now I have added the hall to that option. No big deal. Okay, it's no big deal. Now, if I want, so I have a $10,000 option for hardwood in all three of these rooms. If I go up and click on the option button where that little pencil is, I can change the name of this, which is really helpful. So now that's my hardwood option. I don't have to leave it as option number 1, option number 2, option number 3. Now I'm going to call that hardwood. So let's create another option, and this time I'm going to create a luxury vinyl plank option. So I'm going to click on the plus, new option. I'm going to click all 4 rooms. Let's see if I can get them all 4 this time. Set install. This time I'm doing a luxury vinyl plank. Now be careful here. If I'm doing a rigid floating luxury vinyl plank, and this is a plywood subfloor, rigid luxury vinyl plank, what change do I need to make right here?
No underlayment.
Yeah, I don't need that 1/4 inch plywood. That's a lot of money that I don't need to put into this. So let's just pick a PG3 floating luxury vinyl plank. Good, good, and good. I'm not gonna question these. I do need to hit complete options so that it's actually completed. I need to do that for the first one too, complete options, so that that's done. All right. So now I've got my first option at $10,399. I've got another option at $85.34, and this is going to be my luxury vinyl plank option. Okay. Now let's say I'm going to do another option, but with this option, all I'm going to do is drop out the living room. So with this option, I still want to keep the master bedroom, the bathroom, and the hall, but I just want to drop out the living room. Well, this is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to copy this first. So underneath my LVP option, there's 2 little symbols. There's a trash can and there's a copy button. I'm going to click the copy button. And just like that, I now have an exact duplicate.
Mm-hmm.
And now with option 2, I'm going to select the living room because I said that's the one that we're going to get rid of. And you'll notice when I selected the living room, now there's a new button that just popped up on the bottom of the screen that says remove from option.
Oh, okay.
And I can click that and it's going to remove the living room, but it's only removing it from this one option. It's not removing it off the drawing. And now I can say LVP, I can call this LVP no living room. Okay, perfect. So I've got 3 options here and I've got them gapped pretty well. I've got a 20 or 25% gap between all 3. So I can talk to the customer about their hardwood floor. If that's too much money, we can talk about the LVP floor. And if that's still too much money, we can say, well, look, the living room was just something you were thinking about adding. This is what it would be to do LVP in just those 3 rooms. Okay, so I've got a strategy in mind. Now, I did all that so that we could do this. I'm going to hit the button that says continue to presentation. This is where I have the wonderful opportunity to give my company story. More on this later. So I give the company story. Fantastic. I get all the way to the end of the company story, and then I hit the little blue X. And I click next, and now I'm looking at my 3 options. Now the customer does not see this screen. Okay? The customer does not see this screen. This is for me. The tablet is facing to me. Eventually, I will show the customer the price, but in the meantime, this is for me. The customer has fallen in love, has absolutely fallen in love with a PG3 hardwood. Somebody give me the name of your favorite PG3 hardwood that you've played with so far.
Burton?
Burton? You like Burton?
Sure.
Burton might be a PG2, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it. It's good. Okay. So Jennifer is up there in the south, up in the northwest corner of South Carolina, and she has met a customer that has absolutely fallen in love with Burton. Now, right now, this is what we've got. The customer has not seen these numbers yet. So watch how easy this is. I'm going to hit the back button. I'm going to hit the back button again. I'm going to go to that option, and I'm going to hit the button that says complete option. And now I'm looking at the details of what's been pulled up, right? And I come down here, you see there's a line that says PG3 hardwood. It's right there, PG3 hardwood. And I want to change that. I don't want it to be PG3 hardwood. I want it to say Burton. At the bottom of that section, there's 5 little buttons. There's 5 little icons. There's a plus, there's a folder, there's a pencil, and there's what I call the switcheroo button. The switcheroo button is those 2 little arrows that are crisscrossing one another. If I click the switcheroo button, I search for Burton. So, just for simplicity, they happen to love the Burton Oak Warm Comfort, so that's the one they love. Bam. Notice what it did. The PG3 is gone, and now the exact product is in there. Now I go back, I go forward again, and now I have the exact price for that board. Maybe it was a PG3. So I have the exact price for that board. Okay? We talked about how to do it, and we still did it in about 45 seconds. Imagine how fast you could do it if you're not having to explain it to somebody. So that's why I say in step 3, you're putting together your rough draft. It's like, you know, back in school, you had to write your rough draft before you wrote the real paper. So in step 3, you're putting together your rough draft, knowing that by the time you get to step 6 and the customer picks the product that they absolutely love, no worries at all. I can quickly go in, I can hit the switcheroo button, and I can take out the PG and put in the real thing, and I can get the exact cost for this product. And then I'm not worried about, is it too much, is it too little, is it this, is it that? Boom, I'm covered. It's exactly what I want it to be. And I'm not wasting a ton of time, wasting now trying to build this up. It took me 45 seconds going through it with everybody watching.
Arlen, so I understand, this is what we're really doing when we return to the truck. We're making sure the proposal's built correctly, the waste factors are all correct, the shipping costs are correct, and we don't know what products they're going to like yet, but we know we want to show them a unfinished, we want to show them a finished hardwood and an engineered hardwood. So the beauty of this is you can take your time in the truck to make absolutely sure you built it right. In our case, what Michael's having me do is I call him and we review it together. So once I know that's built quickly, you're right. Once you're in the home, I can then bang, switch the product, and it doesn't take any dead time for the customer.
Exactly. And so when we talk about eliminating the dead time or reducing the dead time, I'm literally talking about now it takes me 30 seconds to go back, swap that product out, and then show the customer the price. And the customer's not waiting for me to spend 20 minutes putting the price together, calling the owner, making sure this is right, making sure all that's done in step 3 when the customer is expecting us to be gone anyway. I told the customer it's going to take me 20 minutes to measure the space. I'm going to go out to the van. I'm going to work up some proposals, bring some samples back in. And so you already set yourself up that, look, I'm going to be gone for 20 minutes. So now when you come in, now you're back together. When you get to step 6, they love it. It takes 30 seconds to make this change. You're not waiting until then to build a proposal. Okay, so if I go back here momentarily, I go all the way back to where we started today. Okay, that's why in step 3, we measure the job and we price it up. But this is the way I like to describe it. I hope that this resonates. This is where you're putting together your rough draft. Okay, everything's right except the product itself. I've got all my details, I've got all my trim, I've got all that stuff right. I have priced this up, and at the moment, that PG is holding my space as a placeholder because I know that once we pick the exact product, I'm going to take 30 seconds between then and showing the price, and you'll get good where you can do it while you're asking the pre-close question. So those two, I mean, at the beginning you won't because it's too much to think about, but you'll get good to where you're doing both of those things at the same time anyway. But it's literally from the time I show the product and the customer falls in love with the product, you're talking about 60 seconds between then and when I'm showing them a price, rather than 20 minutes putting together something while I'm sitting on the couch. Okay, so I know that there's people that have been nervous about PGs because PG it's an average. What if it's too high? What if it's too low? Don't worry. PG is used in step 3 to get you close. It's close. It is. I mean, that was within 10%. It was 10.5, and now it's 11.5. It was within 10%. Okay. I mean, some people are just happy to leave it like that, but that's all right. Good. Questions about the swap? Questions about where we are in the system?
So Arlen, question about, playing with margins. I mean, at this point, we're out. Is that something we should leave off, or should we be thinking that when we're out there, either because of selling skills, we should be a little more, sharper pencils, doing it at 40 instead of 50, or we should leave the mistake margin at 50 to help us out? Do you have any sort of insights on how we should think about that once we're out?
Well, so as margin is tough on this call, and the reason it is because there's all these design associates from around the country where their owners are telling them different things with margin. Okay, so it's a difficult thing for me to address on this call because of the audience that I've got. But I will say this. I'm training a sales system. It doesn't take much to train you on how to change margin. So I'm going to focus on how do I train a sales system that allows you to keep your margins where they should be, rather than saying, oh, if you get desperate, just cut your margin. Because, I mean, okay, now you've been trained. 10 seconds. If you get desperate, cut your margin. I mean, that's not interesting to me. I'm much more interested in saying this is what it means to build your sales skills so that you can sell at the right level.
Right. I'm thinking more of just building a little bit of momentum in the business. This is not a,
sure.
Just look at who going out. Yeah.
And I would say and I'm very specifically talking to the new franchise owners only. I'm not talking to the DAs for the next 10 seconds. When you first start as a new franchise owner, you might very well take the decision, I'm going to cut my margin just to get some momentum built up in the business, and then I'm going to bring it back up again, okay? I cannot say that to the design associates on the call. You guys have to get that feedback from your owner. I can't tell you that.
Hey, Arlen, Cody Ware, quick question. Is there any particular reason why you're not wanting the client to see those 3 options, to see that you've done kind of your due diligence, you've done like some price gapping? Any particular reason why you're not wanting them to see that slide?
Yeah. So let's see how that, well, just in the interest of time, I won't bounce back to the tablet. You've got the 3 that are sitting there, right? So I show you the $11,000 price, and now where is your head going? Well, wait a minute. What's the 8 and the 5?
Right, but I mean, haven't you kind of already gone through the customer and kind of explained those options to them? Like, hey, this price is going to be, not including these.
I am working the sales system on option 1,
okay,
all the way through, showing them a price. We haven't even looked at the option 2 boards. If I'm going from a PG3 to a PG2 to a PG, We didn't even look at the PG2 and the PG1 boards. We didn't even look at them.
Okay.
I'm sticking with option 1 until, and when we get into step 8 and we start talking about the close, I'll show you how we do this. But I'm sticking with option 1 all the way through until in step 8, if the customer simply says, there's no way I'm ever paying that much for this floor, good, now I'm going to swap to another option. And then we'll talk about the other boards.
Okay, and then you kind of rework that kind of those last couple steps, reworking it with that with that lower bid.
Absolutely.
Okay.
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 All right.
Cool. Thank
So
you.
just in the interest of time, bounce this forward. So we've got for week 3, I want you guys to continue to work on your fabs. So I think last time I asked you to memorize the hardwood and laminate fab. Now I'm going to ask you to go in, and I need to update this, go through the carpet fab. Okay. So you've got homework and floor U. Our next call, remember, I will send the recording out, and in the recording, I'll have the details of homework and whatever else. But in the recording, or excuse me, in the email that I send out, the recap email, there's always more information. So be sure to read that. Our next call is not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. So you literally have like a week and a half before our next call. I had to move this one from Wednesday to today. So that means that you've got all this week and up until Wednesday of next week to get those ride-alongs, to get the reference list pictures, to get caught up in floor U. If you're a little bit behind in floor U, this is a good time to do it. You know, keep plugging along. And as always, if you have questions, if you've got issues or whatever, I prefer it if you drop it in the group me just so that I can answer the same question, answer the same question that normally would come in as 10 different emails. I can answer it once in group me and everybody gets to learn from each other. And that, my friends, is it for me. If you did not make the call today and you're watching back through, there's your makeup word. So you can at least get 75% credit by watching the recording and sending me an email with the code word of the day. Questions?
Thank you, Arlen. Appreciate it.
Yep, good stuff, guys. I'll see you guys next week, or some of you I'll see tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
Arlen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.